Well, hello, and thank you for joining us for this virtual open house and the live question and answer session for the MT1 Slope Stability Project. I'm going to give it a few, maybe a minute here. Got quite a few attendees and they're still coming on board, so we'll get started here in just a minute. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started now. My name is Brandon Coates, and I'm with RBCI. Our company's working with MDT, doing the public outreach specifically for this MT1 Slope Stability Project. And I want to thank you again for joining us for this open house and the live question and answer session as well. So during the online session, MDT and the project team members will be providing an overview of the project. We'll talk about the planned construction activities, and then following, we'll have a live question and answer session right after the presentation. So the way to participate in that Q&A section is to locate the Q&A button that's should be on the bottom of your screen, and it says Q&A, and click on that. It'll pop up in a box, kind of a chat box. You can type in any of your questions at any time during the presentation, but we will hold all of the questions until the end, and then we'll answer them after the presentation. The online sessions, the one that you're in today at noon, and the one that'll be held at 6 o'clock are going to be presenting the same information. However, the Q&A sessions could be different based on questions that come in. Both sessions will be recorded, and we'll post a copy of the recording on the project website, same place that you went to register for the project. There's a public meetings tab there as well. So we'd like to ask you to invite your neighbors, your coworkers, friends that couldn't attend the session today. If they want to view the presentation, they'll be able to listen to the recorded audio and see the slides as well. They can go to the project website. We'll post that address at the end of the presentation as well. So again, thank you for attending, and I'm going to turn it over to Daryl Williams from MDT now. Daryl?
All right, thank you, Brandon, and thank you everybody for attending today. My name is Daryl Williams. I'm the Missoula District Construction Operations Engineer, and my role on this project will be to assist and support our engineering project manager in his role with contract administration. So before we go any further, I would like to have the folks on our team today on the presentation unmute themselves and introduce themselves and tell the folks out there a little bit about their role with this project. And we'll start with Matt Straub.
Thanks, Daryl. My name is Matt Straub. My crew and I, my crew of inspectors and I will oversee the day-to-day operations of the contractor on this project. We will have personnel on site for every working hour the contractor is out there, and sort of help smooth over the impact of the traveling public.
Thank you, Matt. Brett Boundy.
Yeah, this is Brett Boundy. I'm with the geotechnical section. I did a lot of, I guess, the design work on this, trying to upgrade some systems that were actually designed by a consultant several years ago, and they've been performing, okay, but it's just time to do some maintenance and upgrade some systems.
Thank you, Brett. Andy Barnes.
Yes, thanks, Daryl. My name is Andy Barsness. I work in public involvement on the project with RBCI, and I'll be helping facilitate the question and answer portion today.
Thank you, Andy. Move to Brandon Coates.
Yeah, thanks again, Daryl. Again, I'm Brandon Coates. I'll be facilitating the presentation today, and I am the communication contact for this project. We'll be doing all of the materials and communication about traffic, about any impacts to the public, and I'm your best point of contact for the project. That way I can, depending on what your question is, I can go to the right person with MDT or the contractor, get those questions answered and back to you. So my contact information will all be at the end of the presentation and on most of our materials. So thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next slide here. Okay, thank you, Brandon, and thanks everybody for introducing yourself. So this is Daryl Williams again. I'll just briefly talk a little bit about the project. So the project is located less than a mile north of Georgetown Lake Road on Flint Creek Pass between Anaconda and Phillipsburg, as you can see on the map there. The approximate mileposts would be milepost 28 to milepost 28.4. MDT constructs and maintains rockfall mitigations across the state, and we have identified this stretch of road as being in need of routine maintenance and removal of hazardous rock. This is a preventative maintenance project, which will, in simplified terms, help keep rocks off of MT1 in this corridor here. So I do want to reiterate the road is safe to drive on currently, but we are just being proactive to mitigate any possible future rockfall hazards. So we can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you, Brandon. So MDT has accelerated the development and design of this project in order to get a contractor hired and work to remove these hazardous potential rocks, and the work so the work can be completed in 2022. So construction is expected to begin after Labor Day, probably the second week in September, and is anticipated to be substantially complete late in the fall of 2022, depending on material availability. And the reason I mention substantial completion in 2022 is there are material supply chain issues throughout the country, and with this project, there's potential that it wouldn't be any different. With that said, we do plan on having all heavy scaling completed this year, this fall, and any heavy scaling that would cause road closure. So if there is work left to be complete in 2023, MDT will make sure that there is no traffic control set up over the winter months, and the road, would be wide open for traffic in the winter months, and it would for sure be safe to drive on. So we'll move on to the next slide, please, Brandon. So next, I would like to talk a little bit about some of the improvements we have planned with this project. And we are going to be repairing and replacing existing rockfall mitigation structures, and we'll be removing potentially hazardous unstable rock material, be cleaning out the roadside, the material that's in the roadside ditch. There will be removing and resetting of signs near the project area. So the purpose of this rockfall mitigation is to increase motorist safety while traveling on Montana's highways. And rockfall mitigation includes several methods for removing potentially hazardous rock materials, and we often call that rock scaling. So you'll see a lot of rock scaling taking place. And structures such as fences and barriers are other safety features that you'll be seeing maintained or extended. And these are often installed to obviously help keep the rocks off the road. So with that said, I would like to turn it over to our engineering project manager, Matt Straub, and he will give you more detailed talk on what to expect as the project moves forward here. So thanks everybody, and I'll turn it over to Matt.
Thank you, Daryl. I'm going to talk traffic control and what to expect during construction. MDT and the contractor plan to maintain alternating single lane traffic with signals and flaggers during the daytime hours. These the work zone is approximately is a little less than 1 mile long. During the day, you can expect 30-minute delays while the contractor is performing work, and then a complete flush of the traffic from both sides. During the night, you can expect delays between 5 and 10 minutes when the contractor is not working. We'll be using flaggers and traffic signals to direct traffic through the single lane area. Traffic will be reduced. There will be some width restrictions due to the temporary rockfall protection system. We don't quite know what those are going to be yet, depending on the system that the contractor uses to install. We will keep the public notified of any width restrictions that are going to be placed on the road. During our heavy scaling period, there will be a 5-day full closure of the road that will be 24 hours a day. This closure is necessary to do our heavy scaling, where we have a large amount of material that is high above the road, and it won't be safe for the traveling public to travel through there at any time, day or night. That, as I said, that closure is expected to take 5 days, but the work, if the work is completed in shorter than 5 days, of course, we're going to open back up the road and allow the free flow of traffic. The road closure, talk a little bit more about that. MDT and the contractor will try to minimize the inconvenience to the traveling public during construction. Work to remove rock materials from the side of the mountains can be dangerous for workers and the public. The 5-day closure is necessary day and night and is expected to allow the contractor to safely remove these materials. The public will be notified about this closure well in advance, and Brandon will talk more about those notifications later. The time frame for our 5-day closure is expected to be in early October. For the rest of the project time, which will start approximately the second week in September, we'll expect that single lane traffic alternating at night, and then with 30 single lane traffic alternating during the day with 30-minute delays. The unfortunate part about this area is there is no feasible detour options available. MDT will not have a designated detour route to go around this project. During the closures, MDT will work closely with the local emergency services, the school district, and the Forest Service and the county to ensure that they have access to get through the project if absolutely necessary in case of an emergency. During our 5-day closure, electronic message boards will be placed at the intersections of major regional roads and highways to provide advance warning to the traveling public. I'm now going to turn this over to Brandon Coates from RBCI, and he can tell you a little bit more about the advance notification.
Thanks again, Matt. Yeah, again, my name's Brandon Coates, and if you're joined us late, I'm with RBCI. Our company's role is to provide communication and outreach during construction. I'd also like to remind you at this time about that Q&A button that's on the bottom of your screen. And if you want to pop that open, feel free to submit any questions you have at any time. And we'll get those questions answered at the end as well here. So communication about the road closures is a high priority for MDT. So we have met with some local emergency responders in the schools, been establishing some communication channels, and we are going to continue to keep them well informed about traffic and the potential closures, along with the general public as well. There's a variety of methods that we're going to use to keep the public informed. Some of them include mailers. Hopefully, most of you received a mailer about this open house. But we'll also be contacting the news media. We have some radio ads, social media posts, Facebook posts. We do have email and text message updates, and we'll be updating the project website as well. As Matt kind of mentioned before, these electronic message boards are a great tool for letting everybody know about the closures specifically. And these are some of the locations that are planned for when we get close to the closure. You can see where they're at major intersections where folks can make decisions about which direction they want to go. So they'll be posted at least a week in advance of the planned closure, and even longer if the contractor is able to give us more time on that. But they'll be a good source for folks that especially commute through those areas daily. So one of the best ways to stay informed is to sign up to receive updates. And we have already received a lot of people signing up for the emails and the text messages. So in order to sign up for a text update, you text the word slope to 866-434-0866. That's a toll-free number. Or you can text the word slope to 22828. That's the phone number, and you'll receive email updates. And one thing I do like to let people know is that a text message is only about 160 characters. So typically, if there's going to be information about the closure, the text message may say closure expected, give the dates, more information, and have a link. And that link will take you to the email update where we can put a lot more information in there. So the other way to stay informed for those that do not have email or internet or even text messaging, I've received some calls from folks that don't have any of those options right now, is the project phone line. And I'll show you that number here on the next slide. But yeah, you can feel free to call us at any time. We can let you know the information through the phone. And yeah, with that, I think I'd like to thank everybody for participating in the presentation portion of the meeting. And also remind you that if you have any friends or neighbors that weren't able to participate, go ahead and direct them to the project website. And there's the address on the screen now. It's mdt.mt.gov/pubinvolve/MT1SS. And it's the same place that you went to register for the meeting. So, and they'll be able to record or view the recording there of the meeting, and we'll have the presentation slides up as well. So if you have any comments or questions at any time during the project, also please feel free to give me a call, and that number is 406-284-1500. Or my email is brandon@rbci.net. So with that, we're going to conclude the presentation portion and begin the question and answers. And I think, Andy, do you have any questions that have come in that we can answer?
Yes, thanks, Brandon. So we do have a question that just came in from Gwyneth, and Gwyneth asks, how long ahead of full closure will the actual closure dates be announced? Matt, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, thank you, Andy. The full closure will be announced a minimum of 7 days in advance. If we know our schedule earlier than that, we'll let the public know. But it will be a minimum of 7 days in advance of the closure. The messaging will probably go out more in we expect the closure to be this date, and with that announcement coming 2 to 3 weeks in advance. And then as we get closer to the date, at 7 days, we'll say it's going to happen start on this day and run through this period of time.
Great, thank you, Matt. Okay, and again, if you do have a question, if you just hit that Q&A button at the bottom, that will allow you to type your question in, and we'd be happy to answer them. So that was the only question we had so far, so we'll give it just a minute. If anybody has any others, please feel free, and we'd be happy to get to those.
Yeah, and Andy, I'd like to add on to that answer too. Like Matt was saying, we'll likely get some information out here in the next few weeks, letting folks know that time frame that we're expecting the closure, once the contractor can kind of have time to assess it and get a better schedule and idea. And then, yeah, as we get closer to the date and it gets tightened up, we'll be getting that information out through the email, the text messages. We'll begin running radio ads when we know that it's happening, news releases, and newspaper ads as well. The other thing that we will do, our RBCI, our team, we'll be out in the community, and we'll bring flyers around town to the businesses to hang up and get the word out that way too. So if you should see us frequently in the community getting that information out, just so that they're, we've contacted the school in the county and both counties, and everybody's all on board helping us get this information out. As soon as we can get dates down and better information, they'll send it out through their channels of communication as well. So
Great, thanks, Brandon. Okay. And it looks like we did have a few more questions come in here. Elena asks if there are detour options. Matt or Brandon, would either of you like to take that?
This is Matt. I'll take that. No, there are no advertised detours for this project. MDT recognizes that there are some Forest Service roads and some local roads that go around the project site, but they're not viable detour options for us to send highway traffic down.
Great, thank you, Matt. Okay, and again, if anybody does have more questions, if you just hit that Q&A button at the bottom, that will allow you to type that in. We do have another question from Laura. Laura asks, which radio station will you be announcing on? Brandon, would you like to take that one?
yeah, so I don't have a list of the radio stations. We're broadcasting Missoula, basically from stations from Missoula to Butte. And that's through Town Square Media. They have a lot of stations, and then also in Anaconda as well. So we're looking at basically trying to cover the area regionally from Missoula, Hamilton over to Butte, so that I can't remember how many stations we're looking at. I do believe it's 3 or 4 stations in general, but I can get that information and get it back to you if that's something you'd like as well. I just don't have the list in front of me.
Great. Thank you, Brandon. John has a comment. He says you should be in touch with S&N Concrete as they have time-sensitive material, and then provided a phone number. Thank you, John. We will definitely note that and make sure the project team is aware of that.
And I'd like to add on that too. I have spoke with S&N Concrete a little bit, and they're signed up to receive the updates already. So too.
Great. Good to know, Brandon. Thank you. And then Laura mentioned we listened to the country station out of Helena. That's good information, Laura. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, if you can remember which one, let me know too. There, I would.
Right. Yeah. If you'd like to comment which one, that'd be definitely something that we could examine. So thank you, Laura. Okay. And then looks like that's all of the current questions. So again, if you have one, just hit that Q&A. Oh, Elena does ask, will explosives be used? Matt, are you familiar with that question?
Yeah, I am. At this time, we do not expect any blasting on the project. The scaling will be performed by manual methods, basically guys on ropes with bars and some hydraulic bags and some stuff like that, but we do not anticipate any blasting at this time.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Okay. Jim asks, will you use NPR? Brandon,
I can answer that. Yeah. So we will send news releases out to NPR, but we are not doing any advertising on NPR. But we will send news releases out to Montana Public Radio.
Great. Thanks, Brandon. Okay, we'll give it just a few more minutes here. If anybody has any further questions, feel free to plug those into that Q&A button, and we'll be happy to get to those. And again, if you think of any questions between now and the next public meeting at 6, feel free to jump back on, and we'll have another Q&A after that presentation as well, and be happy to answer those then too.
Yeah, and also with that too, feel free to email me any questions at any time throughout the project, not just during these meetings, and we'll work on getting those answered and back out to you. So appreciate all the questions. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And we had one more come in from Elena, and she says, is the total closure expected in October? Matt, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, currently we're expecting the total closure to occur the first full week in October. That schedule has not been finalized yet, and it'll be determined on how the beginning progress of work goes. But currently, yes, we're expecting the first full week in October.
Great, thanks, Matt. Okay, well, we don't have any more questions currently. So again, we'll give it another minute here. If you do have a question, please feel free to reach out. Okay, nothing so far, but again, yeah, thank you for joining us today for the presentation as well as the question and answer. Again, at 6 p.m., if you or someone you know would like to join again, or somebody that didn't have a chance to, we'd encourage you to join. It'll be, again, the same presentation, same information, but we will have another question and answer afterwards, just like this one. So definitely encourage folks to join if they'd like to. And it doesn't look like we have any more open questions. So Brandon, I suppose if there's nothing else, then I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, great. Yeah. One other thing I did want to mention, another good source for getting information is the MTD's 511mt.net website. And hopefully you might be familiar with it. If not, I'll pull it up over here on the screen real quick. Let you see this. So 511mt.net, and you can zoom in on projects. You can click and add alerts for construction restrictions. Same place that you can go to get weather conditions and see what road conditions are. But when there is construction, there'd be a little construction cone and gives you information on it. So that'll be showing up here in the project area. So yeah, that's a good source throughout the winter, throughout all the seasons to get information, and it's updated quite regularly. So all right, well, appreciate everybody for attending today, and I'll leave this slide up here for a few minutes as we exit, and thank you.